It's 30 minutes past the hour of 8 a.m. and it's time for Inside Oakwood with Dr. Leslie Pollard. He's live with us here in the studio of WJOU with some of his wonderful leadership team members. They're here to talk to us about everything employees. And you know, Dr. Pollard, from time to time you have provided some very encouraging words to our listeners and that have helped me to get through some hard days sometimes here on the radio. So I hope you got a word for us today.
Yes, of course. Psalm 91 is the psalm that's been guiding our institution through this whole affair called the coronavirus disruption. And as I read the text the other day, I wrote this to some employees. And verse 3 is an interesting image. Back in those days when people had to capture animals, they didn't have guns and all those kinds of things when David wrote. So they would have to use actually traps. And they would set traps for birds with bait and with feed and other things that could lure the bird into the trap and then capture it. And so one of the images that the psalmist uses is that of a trapped bird in Psalm 91, verse 3. Yeah. He says, God will deliver you from the snare of the fowler. Yeah. F-O-W-L is the old English way of saying the bird catcher.
Okay.
So once the bird is caught, he says God will deliver you. And that's the theme of this thing, deliverance. God, whose eye is on the sparrow, he actually had to come along, and the bird needed a deliverance that was outside of itself. Now, interestingly, he didn't say that the bird singing is going to deliver it. He didn't say that the bird's wings are going to deliver it. Right. He said, no, he said, God will deliver you from the trap of the fowler. There are people right now who are listening to us who feel trapped. They feel trapped at home. They feel trapped at work. They don't know what the future holds. We have employees who are frightened and scared. But I want to assure them and assure myself this morning that God who delivers, he will deliver them from the snare. And so what Satan means as a trap, God will use that as a launching pad for our success. And so when we think about that, Romans 8:31 is the key text. If God be for us, who can be against us?
Right.
And when we think of Oakwood University, we remember that God founded this institution. He said it's his. And even though all institutions right now are experiencing tremendous difficulty, we want to be assured that God has this institution in a special way in his hand, and that he will deliver us from what the trap that Satan set. God will use that trap as a launching pad and blast us to the next level.
Wow, blast us to the next level. Wow, that's powerful.
That's
what God can do. He
that's
can
what
blast
God
us
does.
right
He
to the
does
next
it all
level.
the time. He does it all the time.
Great. Oh, Mom, that is encouraging, because we know that everything is in God's hands, even this situation right now. And yes, we are feeling trapped. I know my listeners have called and said that they feel like, what can we do? Give us an inspiration, just help us feel like, it's going to be okay.
Yes,
absolutely. And that definitely did that for us. We know that God can release us. He's going to blast us into the next level. It's a great opportunity, which is what we talked about yesterday. We turned everything into a positive note. No longer are we thinking of this as always negative, even though it is a bad situation. People are dying, people are sick. But we have to look to what's positive in this situation and try to turn it around and let God turn it around, most of all.
Amen.
And make it turn it into something good. So who do you have with us today, Dr. Pollard?
Well, this morning we have, as we've been doing all week, we've been focusing on key aspects of the institution's functioning, because people always ask the question, especially right now, is the institution closed? Well, you should know that we are not delivering in-face classes, but the institution is still open in a modified way, doing its business, delivering education, and we're also forwarding and advancing some of the employee initiatives that we need to advance.
Okay.
We've got to keep the institution operational. So the persons who are with us this morning are two of our key operational leaders. They're both vice presidents of Oakwood University, and then we have our HR director, Ms. Pam Holliday, who is going to come in with us via telephone. And we're talking this morning especially about how we are not only keeping the university open, but how we're addressing the need to operate remotely.
Right.
Remotely.
Yes.
And the financial impacts and all of those things. So I want to introduce our guest this morning. Immediately to my left is Dr. Prudence Pollard, who is the Vice President for Research and Faculty Development, and she was the leader of our Tele-Working Task Force. This comes out of her background as a senior professional in human resources.
Okay.
So she applied that research and that knowledge to this task because we've got to figure out how to maintain these 6-foot distances
Right.
and social distancing and all those other things. So we're going to hear about that. Then we're going to also hear about some of the financial impact that it's having on the institution, but also some of the other ways the institution is still caring for itself. I've got Ms. Sabrina Cotton, who is our Vice President for Financial Administration, and all our friends in Facebook land can see both of them. She's going to also talk to us a little bit about how we're operating, how we're keeping the institution hygienically safe. I mean, she has responsibility for buildings and interior spaces, and how we're keeping those disinfected and others while our employees and other things while our employees are working abroad. So that's what we're doing this morning, and this one is focused on employees. A lot of our employees have a lot of questions,
and I think they're tuned in right now because I can see a few of them online. Like you said, you can watch on Facebook, and make sure that if you have a comment or a question, you can go ahead and post it on Facebook, and we'll see that and we'll share that with the leadership team here, and pose any questions that you have. You can also listen to us by a live stream on our website at our website at wjou.org, and join the live stream there. So, Dr. Pollard, where would you like to start? Do you want to start with the telemarketing? Let's
start with the notion of teleworking.
Okay.
About Wednesday, the 19th. You know, and I have the dates all in my mind, I guess. It must have been Wednesday the 18th or 19th.
Yeah.
But we actually realized that at some point we're going to have to modify in a significant way operations. And so we were in President's Council and officers meeting, and we said we need to form a task force. And that task force, Dr. Prudence will be able to tell us about. They had probably about 15 people on it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many it was, but tell us how you all did your work, and then we're going to go on to talk about some of the financial impacts of this kind of new arrangement, but also some of the blessings that are coming out of that with Ms. Cotton, and then we'll bring in Ms. Holliday.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. For our listeners out there, it's important to know that Oakwood University made the decision to not lay off workers, but to keep our entire workforce intact. Thus, it made our work very, how shall we say, a joyful job, in that we had to figure out how to keep people working while keeping them safe. So when the campus closed, our task was to figure out, how do we keep people working? Do we keep them on campus? We received an order from Governor Kay Ivey to close the campus. Our work, therefore, was, who are the workers who should remain on campus? We have some workers, like our police force, that needed to secure the campus. We have other workers who needed to maintain a sanitized environment. And we also have our contractors who are doing projects that you will hear about from Ms. Cotton. So we went to work, and within about 12 to 15 hours, the committee came up with a plan, a 24-page plan detailing guidelines and recommendations for what we call telework. Telework is working from home, meaning that you're self-quarantined at home, maintaining all of the social distancing, even from your family members. And you're working during the hours you were assigned to work. So between 8 and 5:30, you're accessible to your supervisors. We have staff meetings going on remotely. We're using a teleconferencing tool to allow supervisors to have regular, weekly, and sometimes daily meetings with their workers. So these are individuals with the tools for the job. Right now, our primary tool is the computer, a computer that is web-enabled and allowing for telecommunications. About 2/3 of our workforce are in this group. The other 1/3 remain on campus, and we have them distanced from each other. And this also includes our student workers. And our HR director can provide more details about the various workflows. But telework just means you're working from home.
Wow. So this was a major, major undertaking for you. And how many staff was it again, or faculty that you're dealing with, though?
Well, we have about 500, over 500, 500 employees.
Wow.
Now, this is full-time, part-time, and of course, our faculty. You heard about our faculty earlier this week. They are now transitioned, fully transitioned to delivering instruction
but
online.
500 employees.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know it was that huge.
So there's a lot of work. Of
That's
course,
pretty-
that includes Donna. That includes everyone,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
When we think about it,
Right.
because we cut a lot of checks for a lot of people.
Right.
And it's important that we stay viable during this time. We can't afford. I said to one of my friends who is a CEO this week, I said, what you've got to decide is whether or not you can afford for your organization to not work for possibly 2 months. Because we were talking about teleworking.
Right.
And trying to figure out how to do it. I mean, it's new to everybody.
Right.
I think I mentioned I was on a meeting the other day with the Alabama Council of Independent Colleges and Universities, and about 24 presidents from the state of Alabama in private and public institutions. And they all said it was easier to do online than it is to set up the teleworking, because we had been doing some online work anyway. So that, in many ways, that was an expansion, as Dr. Anderson mentioned this week. It really was an expansion of what we had already started. But no institution of higher education was designed to do
100%.
teleworking. You know, Ms. Cotton has been instrumental also in making sure that we can deliver these kinds of services.
Wow.
Not only teleworking, all of them were members of the commission, but also how do we keep the buildings
Yeah.
operable? Right.
Yeah, so that's a
Yes.
big, huge thing too, I guess.
is.
Yeah, so keeping everything operating, that's your job.
That is
That's
my
your
job.
job. Oh,
It's
my
an
goodness.
exciting opportunity.
Exciting. I love that you
It
use that
is.
word.
It's a wonderful opportunity. Right away, when this emergency happened, we started doing a deep clean of all the buildings. We actually came out on Sundays. We made sure that every room had sanitizer. All the teachers had sanitizers. We did a twice daily wiping down of all the buildings. So our custodial staff, who've been equipped with some protective gear, are now engaged in cleaning and doing a deep clean of every building. And in order to keep them safe, on top of the protective gear, they are also practicing social distancing. So our rules basically are one custodian and one facilities maintenance person per building.
Wow.
And they are engaging in a deep clean to make sure all of our buildings are clean. We're also using this opportunity for our facilities people to do all of the work orders, to do all of the repairs, so that our buildings are ready when the students return. In addition to that, one of the other things that we're doing is continuing with our building projects. The great thing about the construction and renovation industry is that they already had protective gear. So as you all may know, the Alabama School for Cyber Engineering and Technology is scheduled to open on the campus of Oakwood University in August. And so the renovation of the grand old Peterson Hall continues, and we are on track to have Peterson Hall 80% renovated, second floor and third floor for Alabama School of Cyber Engineering and Technology in August. So we're excited about that. This is a great opportunity for us to finish up on Oakwood Farms. While you're out practicing social distancing, driving in your car, you can pass, you can see that
They're still working.
the lush new landscape, this tropical rainforest that we've been experiencing has just been a blessing to Oakwood Farms. And so when it opens, it's just going to be a beautiful addition to Northwest and the greater city of Huntsville, Alabama. So our building projects continue. The biology department was under complete renovation. That renovation is almost now 100% complete. So the students in the science and technology fields will have a brand new space, state-of-the-art space to work in. So we're excited about that. And we're working on doing some renovations at Peters Hall for our world-winning class choir. So we're excited about that. It's just a great opportunity. And this is really possible because Dr. Pollard and the Board of Trustees, I think they practiced the biblical model of saving. When times were good, they saved for the future.
Right.
About 10 years ago, we had $3 million in the endowment, and Dr. Pollard and the Board of Trustees set out on a course, and so we achieved our $20 million by 2020, just in time for this
Isn't that
crisis.
something?
Also, we've been saving from our daily operations, so we have about 8 months of working capital on hand
Praise
to make it
God.
through these tough times. And this is exciting. We still have to practice good finance and
Right.
cost savings because the impact of this is going to be about $1.3 million. As Dr. Pollard mentioned on the radio earlier this week, we're going to refund room and board starting effective March 21 through the end of the semester. So that refund's going to amount to about $700,000. So, but we're excited to
Refund
still,
or credit? I just want to.
it's a refund to their account.
Okay, credit to
So
their
it's a
account.
credit
Okay,
to their-
I want to make sure.
Thank you, Donna. People will be saying, "Where's my
Where's my
refund?
check?
Where's my check?" Now, obviously, if the credit to your account creates a refund,
So
then
be it.
Right.
then obviously you can then request a refund. But we're suggesting that this is a great opportunity for students to leave those credits on their account
Right.
for next semester so
Wow.
that they're ahead of the curve when they
Wow.
return in August. And so it's an exciting opportunity. God has blessed Oakwood University through the fortuitous planning of Dr. Pollard and the Board of Trustees. So we're just
Wow. I'm so glad that you're here because I have been getting questions. People are asking, how healthy financially is the university to get through this type of situation? And so you've just made it very clear that we're very healthy financially.
We are, but we
I know it's
always
still a struggle.
welcome help, though.
Yeah.
We always welcome help. Right. Yes. No. Yes, I
Where's
wouldn't
my
want to say
check,
that.
right? Are
Right.
we back to-
Exactly. We always, and of course, we can go to www.oakwood.edu and we can actually join in the giving page. And we do need continued philanthropy in order to keep the institution viable and strong, to be able to help students. Like right now, we're housing about 30 students who, for whatever reason, either international status or particular socio-demographic issues in their background, who could not go home and said, I really do need to stay on campus.
Right,
So the institution has been very compassionate about that. And as we talk about students, I'm thinking about Miss Holliday. And we did receive a question, are student workers still able to work on campus? And so Miss Holliday will be calling
She
in.
is on the line
And
right
she should be
now.
on
Miss
the line
Holliday,
right
how
now.
are you doing this morning?
Very well. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, Miss Holliday, good morning. Miss Holliday is our Executive Director for Human Resources, and she coordinates, of course, our student labor program. And so we did get a question, are students able to work on campus during this time?
Although most students are gone, there is still opportunity for student workers to work on campus. If the department where they were previously assigned still has opportunity for them there, they can continue that previously assigned position. Also, we are developing a call center for student workers to participate in, and that's being headed by Dr. Richardson's area.
Okay, so we've got Dr. Richardson working in that area. We do have some students who are working on campus, and that's a good thing. I'm wondering...
And I believe we have one with us this morning.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, we
yes,
do have
yes.
one with us. Isaiah, who's been just my partner, my sidekick ever since this started. And he's here every day, Monday through Friday. So he's one of the work studies. Do we call it work study now? Is it work study? What is it? That's what it was when I was in college. It was
something
called work
close to that.
study.
I think also given the university's career thrust, students who are planning careers in communications, broadcasting, radio, we try to give them internship opportunities associated with their
Right.
work on campus.
Right. And Isaiah's been just great. He is
Isaiah's amazing.
doing the weather, y'all hear?
Oh, my
Oh, my
goodness. He does the weather and stuff like Next thing you know it, he'll be doing the news, and then the next thing he'll be doing. But we're very proud of, we don't want to embarrass him. He's blushing.
Right, I know it.
You can't see him, everybody, but he's blushing. But we're very proud of his parents, too. They've done a wonderful job in raising him.
So let's talk. We talked a little bit about how you're supposed to secure all the buildings and everything. Can we kind of really clarify what we mean when we say the campus is closed, though, what does that really mean as far as security and things like that? Ms.
So,
Pamela?
as Dr. Prudence Pollard mentioned, some employees are on the shelter in place in a sanitized area, and some are on the work telecommute from home. And so the campus is closed to everyone but essential personnel. So if you drive up to the front gate now, you'll see our Oakwood University police officers and public safety officers in protective gear. They have masks, they have gloves. So they're going to ask you to roll down your window, and you're gonna pass your ID. They're gonna check to see whether you're part of the essential workforce list, and then you'll be allowed to enter, and you're supposed to go to your designated area and shelter in place. And so they're patrolling the campus as well to ensure that everyone is practicing social distancing. And our idea of social distancing is 12 feet.
Oh, 12 feet. Wow.
Or one person per building. And we want to make sure that when you enter the building, you sanitize your work area. And when you leave the building, you sanitize your work area. We want to make sure that our employees stay healthy and wise, and I'm going to slide in wealthy.
Amen for wealth. We need that. We certainly need that. One of the things I received, Donna, when I came in from Audrey, who is our general manager here, was a sanitizer, I think,
We
which
have
is
those
very nice.
all over the place.
Yeah,
Facebook,
so
we got those.
and I've been using that. And again, while it's an important reminder, it also has a hygienic purpose, but it's also an important reminder for us to make sure that we are doing the things that we need to
Probably
do.
need to start taking temperatures when people walk in the
Oh,
door.
well, yeah. Absolutely. Now, I have a question, though, for Ms. Holliday. So, Ms. Holliday, now, we are doing a lot of work with our employees, and they're tuning in this morning. We're doing a lot of remote work in terms of remote conferences. In the previous model, we'd simply call a meeting, and everybody would meet us either at Carter Hall, or they would meet us over at Carter Hall, or they'd meet us in B&T or in one of the buildings, and we'd have kind of a town hall type meeting. But now, because of this new reality that we face, we're having to use technology in ways that we hadn't before. So something's happening big today for our employees. First, the supervisors today, and then tomorrow, we'll have the entire workforce gather. But it'll all be electronic. It'll all be through our Zoom technology, et cetera. Could Pam, would you say a little bit about what we've got planned for today for our employees and our workforce?
Absolutely. But first of all, I want to say that the employees of Oakwood University are the most amazing, hardworking, and dedicated employees that I have ever encountered.
Amen.
And it's been a pleasure being part of the Oakwood University team. And with that, today we do have a virtual town hall. Today and tomorrow we are conducting virtual town halls. Today's meeting is specifically geared toward supervisors. We want to share with them the expectations of their employees in the telework environment, and also offer opportunity for employees to ask questions. And then tomorrow we have another town hall scheduled, and that's open to anyone. The same type format where we're sharing with them the expectations, the guidelines, and also giving them the opportunity to share their concerns and questions.
Excellent. Yes. So this is really important for us, Donna, as our audience is listening and as our friends on Facebook are viewing. Please know that we're having to move many of the previous functions that we had done orally and manually, and a lot of the communication in written form and email. Now we're having to do that electronically. Now, there is a tremendous opportunity here, though, because we find that many of these meetings can be more efficient. What we have to watch with all technology is the loss of relationship, because technology is great for mediating information, but it's not particularly rich in deepening relationships. And what makes Oakwood unique is that it has the Oakwood experience is all about relationships and how that relational support blesses our students, our faculty, our staff, and our employees. And we want to keep that in mind. So I wanted to ask Dr. Prudence a question, and that is, if you had to say one word to supervisors about remote supervision, what would that word be?
Stay connected. What has been discovered over the last 3 or 4 decades that we have been in this world of computing is that telework can be very lonely. It can lead to disconnection. It can even lead to depression. Because as humans, we're very social people. What we find is there are some people who thrive in the telework environment, and we know personality is related to that thriving. A person who may be more of an introvert will say, I love to telework.
I'm good, right?
You know, a person who's more of an extrovert will say, this is not working for me. I need my colleagues. So how can you thrive in the telework environment? Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, this applies. Stay connected. Stay connected. And that's why for Oakwood University and for our telework group, we detailed guidelines for remaining healthy. So while working at home, create a healthy work environment. We have our standout health principles that we're encouraging our workers to maintain even while home. The T in stand out means trust. Our relationship with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is important for our mental health. Our relationships with each other comes from that relationship with Christ. So we're encouraging our supervisors to do a minimum of one worship per week in a group Zoom video conferencing session. And the key word, whether we're teaching or we are having a staff meeting, engagement. Engage with each other, talk about what's going on, engage, and remain available.
Wow. That sounds really good. Now, if anybody listening right now has a question, please go to our website at Praise 90.1 FM. Post your questions because we have a few more minutes, just a few more minutes. So if you got that question, go ahead and get it in right now. I got a question for Ms. Cotton about everybody being able to work. Has there been any challenges with staff needing equipment or anything like that? And is that something that you all have addressed as well?
Well, Dr. Prudence Pollard's telecommute committee did address that, the committee that she chairs. And I just want to give a shout out to OUIT because they've done a yeoman's job in making sure that everybody has access to VPN so they can connect remotely to the campus intranet, making sure that people have soft phones so they can answer and dial the phones from their computers. And we've also been in the process of procuring additional telecommute equipment. So the university has spent about $100,000 on just equipment to make sure employees can work from home. Now, of course, some of the equipment is delayed in shipping, but the Telework Committee did a survey of all individuals on the campus, and so we were able to determine who had their own equipment. So that equipment they brought in, or we sent them antivirus capabilities so that they could then dial in from their work computer. And also, I want to take a moment to refer back to something that Dr. Leslie Pollard said. And he talked about people still donating, still needing our donors to reach out to us. The other day, I was reading Harvard's financial overview for FY 2019, and the treasurer and the chief financial officer of Harvard said rainy days are coming. So even though we have a large endowment, our per capita, per student endowment is very low. Well, rainy days aren't coming. Rainy days are here. And we are, while we have the reserves now, we're depleting those reserves quickly. So we need our donors and our partners to partner with us and still give, to still go to oakwood.edu and make those contributions to help us with some of these ongoing building projects, because we are depleting our reserves. But praise God again that the reserves are there to get us through until our partners come through for us.
And I think that's a great wrap up, Dr.
I think
Pollard.
it is.
I mean, we need to leave it right there. Go ahead, Bill.
I think we're there. I think God is showing His goodness in different ways during this time, just as He always does. All through history, whenever there's a storm, He has a way of standing up. And so we've got a quick question here. So for the employees that are experiencing separation anxiety, is there any counseling available? And the answer is yes, of course. All of the services that we have delivered on ground, now we're delivering them virtually. And so that is available, and should contact Ms. Holliday about how to trigger that benefit.
Give that information on how to contact her.
And
Does
if I
anybody
may
have that?
say, all telephones are still functioning. So what has happened is our employees have transferred their phone to their home, to their computers. Our system is quite sophisticated, so they're answering the phone. So if any employee wants to reach our health and counseling center, all they have to do is dial the same number they dialed before, and they will reach a counselor.
All right. And any other information they need, they can dial that same number.
Dial that
and
same number.
We have somebody working that. Okay.
Yes.
One last item. Today at 10 o'clock, we launch virtual chapel for all of our students who are
Right.
listening.
I'm glad you
and
remembered
I will
that.
be speaking, and I will be speaking on the topic
Okay.
of overcoming optimistic bias. Optimistic
fall.
bias. Optimistic bias is what will make you go to the beach when they've said you shouldn't associate with each
Wow.
other. Optimistic bias. What happens to others cannot happen to me. So I will be the speaker. Chaplain Pileggi was here yesterday. It's going to be a great foray into now doing something different. Virtual chapel at 10 o'clock today.
Wow, that sounds good. And we're going to leave it there. Thank you, Dr. Paul. Did you have something else we needed to do? Have another question?
Is there another
Is there
question?
another question on there on Facebook?
And Monday, yes. Thank you. So Monday, I'm getting good coaching, everybody. That's what they say. It's good to be a college president because you get good coaching. So I'm getting good coaching. So Monday, we're going to have another special session, and we're bringing in, of course, our guests from student services areas, and they're going to be here to talk with us about how we are delivering our student services virtually. So thank you, everybody. And again, WJOU, 41 years and going strong. May God continue to bless us.
Thank you so much for joining us for Inside Oakwood University. We'll see you again, Dr. Pollard, and some members of your team on Monday at 8:30. You listen and you can watch live on our Facebook page at Praise 90.1 FM WJOU. We'll be back with more praise after this.